ever had any enemies in your life? I believe most of you in the room. I have had plenty, almost at every stage of my life. Oscar Wilde says, I choose my friends for their good looks. I choose my acquaintances for their good character. And I choose my enemies for their good intellect. Mr. President, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, as all you know, it's very difficult to like our enemies because of various reasons. They cause us stress, they're uncomfortable to live with, and so many other things. And because of that reason, sometimes we just don't want anything got to do with them. If their names are mentioned, you just don't want to know. Even if they've achieved an award, like, okay, good for them. That's it. And you just close off, nothing at all. I think of a time in my work career, been working for over 20 years, and I'm still working. Along this journey, you meet lots of people. Some like you, some don't, some have issues with you. But in this particular job where I worked, I met this particular person. They seemed not to just have anything got to do with me. No matter what I did, they didn't like me. I tried my best to make friends, but nothing really worked. It looks like every day there was an issue. Every day there was like a world war happening with us. Even if I tried to say, good morning, how you doing? How's everything? Nothing really worked. They just didn't like me. And they hooked up with somebody in the office. Did all sorts of things. Sometimes when I'm in the office, they used to kind of write notes to themselves and say, oh, Eileen, did you get this request? They're writing notes about me. Maybe I've made a mistake. I made a mistake when somebody called. A lot went on. And sometimes this particular person confronted me about my work. He wasn't the manager, but he had the guts to do this. And that went on for weeks, months, years. I so happened to work with this person for 5 years, but it was very difficult. I was stressed. Every time I go back home, I was wondering, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's on tomorrow? As if you're excited, but I wasn't excited even about my work. And to make matters worse, he was just an agent staff, just like me, but we kind of didn't get along, and it was a difficult period of my time. So it came a time he left, then I took on his work. But when he left, I began to reflect on the time I've been working with him, and I asked several questions to myself. What was all about? I've spent a lot of time not enjoying my work. We've had arguments with this person. He didn't seem to like me, but he's gone now. And if I had looked at this situation, maybe at the time, I could have done better. Anyway, months later, I get a phone call from this individual. I said, why is he calling me? I'm like, no, I don't want to speak to this person. Why is he calling me now? I didn't pick up. He called again after weeks later. I said, let me just go. Let's pick up and see what he's saying. I don't know, maybe he's got a problem. Maybe he might have audacity to tell me off on my personal phone. Let me try. Anyway, so I picked up the phone. Say, hi. Hello, Florence. How you doing? I'm fine. Are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm fine. I called just to say to you, I'm a better man now. I said, okay, what happened? I got married. I no longer tell people off. I've settled down. I'm no longer playing around. I think I'm a better person. And I found a job as well. Yeah, it's contract, but they've been renewing, so I'm happy. It's not the person who you used to know. I'm different now. I say, oh, okay. Well done. That's really good. I'm glad that you're a better person now, and I'm glad you recognize that. Oh yeah, Florence, I know the time, was working with you guys. I remember all that time. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, good to speak to you. I'm busy at work now. We'll speak another time. Then he hung up. When he put the phone down, I said, oh God. I just wished at the time when this person was working with me, maybe I took time to understand who he was, to find out whether there was any issues going around with him, even though he didn't say sorry at the time. But I could recognize that now he understands the, the hard time he gave me when we were working with us. And he had this really strong personality. He was about over 50, or well, age doesn't really matter, but I was really bad. You know, his personality, you couldn't say anything. One word, he's just overtaking you. Anyway, so at the time when he went off the phone, I kept quiet. Before I told everybody that he had called, I felt bad for myself and said, I wasted time. Maybe he was a good person. Maybe if I sat down with him, or if I didn't retaliate, I could have had, you know, a better time working here, but also working with him. Maybe I could have been the difference in his life. Maybe I could have said something. Anyway, so he called, and then a few weeks later, he called again. And now when he's calling, I don't keep him long on the phone, but he's just telling me good news. He's kind of like sharing his personal life with me, you know, deep stuff. I was gracious. I said, okay, fine. I forgave him. I'll just listen. And I told him off the phone at the judge, I wasn't really happy with the way you treated me, but I've forgiven you. It's all right. And I think that really touched him. So the time he was coming back to talk to me all the time, he was talking about deep-rooted issues, not in the form of really confiding with me, but you could see he's looking for answers. And what he's saying, that really, I had issues. In a nutshell, he didn't say to me. And I didn't know how to address them. It just so happened you were the person who were in the picture at the time. Anyway, so he stopped calling for a while and he called back another time. But by then I had got over all this. And I'm like, okay, this is a lesson for me. Maybe the next time I come across somebody who is hostile to me, somebody who doesn't seem to get along with me, I should really take time and find out what's going on with them. In a way, forget about myself and sit where they are. Because sometimes when you sit down where the person is, you get to know who they are. Not the behavior, not the character, but you understand why that character, why they have that character, why they behave the way they behave. Because this particular person, he didn't have only issues with me. He had issues with several people outside our team. But it just so happened that with us, because I was working with him on a daily basis. So I took on the leaky all the time, if I may say that. So I sat down, and out of all this, I learned 3 main things in my life. The first thing, which I've already touched on, if you find yourself, you've got people you call enemies. They could be family, or they could be friends. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. If they behave in a certain way, which doesn't just go along with you, take time out. First of all, put boundaries, because you need to guard your heart. Even though you're trying to be gracious, it's nice to be gracious, but you need to put measures so they don't come up again. Put boundaries, simple boundaries between you and that person, so that you know they can't come anywhere close. But as you're doing that, take time, find out who they are. Speak to them, even if they're aggressive, or if they maybe said something which you don't like to somebody else. No worries. Take time and find out. Or if you can meet up with them. Go out for lunch. Go out of your way. If you work with them, as I was working with that guy, it means 5 days a week I was working with this person. I had to put up with this person. The only option I had was to leave the job. But some of us will live with some people who we don't get along. Do the opposite. This is what I learned. Do the opposite. Go an extra mile. Or if you can go for a cup of coffee, or if it's an occasion like Easter, send out a sweet card. as you do that number of times, these people will begin to open up. They will speak to you, not directly to how they've been behaving, but you'll hear things coming out of them, and then you clearly understand it is not about you. They're behaving this way because it's just so happened you're the person who they're close to, so you're taking on all the garbage. And from the conversation you have, you find that sometimes they receive that love. Actually, it's giving really love. It's just really denying your emotion and say, I'm going to show love. I'm going to be gracious to this woman or man. Maybe they are stressed. Maybe they've got a situation going on at home. For that guy, he has situations going on at home, several situations going on at home in his personal life. And that's why he was behaving the way he was behaving. By the time I didn't understand, I was only looking out for myself. I was only defending, protecting myself and saying, okay, if you come again, I'm coming against you. Yeah, I was retaliating and reacting. I didn't take the time to find out why. So the first thing, find out, be gracious. Go out of your way, spend time with this person, and before you know it, they will open up. And you get answers why they behave the way they behave. Number two, it's quite similar to number one, just be kind. Kind. Show them the way, not really telling them that they're behaving in a way which is no good. No, just show them. Do the opposite. If they come to you or if they say negative things about you, speak positive things about you. Invest in them indirectly without really, kind of attacking them. Say, oh, you did this, you're not good. No, just do the opposite in your own way. We find most of the time that our enemies turn out to be our best friends, turn out to be people who work with us, but it doesn't start that way. It's a journey which is done in stages, and understanding that sometimes we'll face situations, and when we do, we react differently. Talking about that particular point, we know some of our leaders. I can talk of Barack Obama. In 2008, he was running for this race to be the Democratic Party leader. And he had somebody who was running for the same race. It was Hillary Clinton. When those two were running for the same race, I can tell you they were not friends, they were enemies. I used to stay up at night to listen to their debates. These debates were something serious. They were really hitting on each other heavily. But in the end, as we all know, Barack Obama won. And in the end, he became the president. And when he became the president, who did he choose to become the Secretary of State? Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. And before, they were enemies, but at the time, she was working for him. And as we all know, after years later, she was running for the same race. And who was on the campaign trail? Barack Obama and Michelle. So it just didn't start that way. There was a process. There was understanding. Somebody had to sit where another person is and be able to serve this person. And lastly, if you live with these people you call enemies, like I wasn't living with this person, but I was working with him 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. That means I can't run away. I have to hear his voice. I have to be in his space. I have to sit in the same meeting. Or sometimes I have to take instructions from him. And I'm like, God, it just got on me. So I had no option. Sometimes we have enemies. They don't live with us. It's okay. You can even defriend them from Facebook. You have nothing got to do with them. But if you live with somebody who you don't get along, who you call your enemies, invest in training. Go get some training on how to deal with difficult people. Read books. Or speak to somebody who's encountered the same situation. Do you know what you're trying to do? You're trying to change this situation. But it comes from the point of being gracious, because you can't do these things until you make the first decision that I'm going to do the opposite. So if you're doing the opposite and you live with this person, you have to make an effort and learn and study on how you're going to be dealing with this person in my position, this work colleague, on how I'm going to be dealing with him on a daily basis, because I work with him, I can't leave. So instead of me reacting and arguing, if I enrolled on a course, on a webinar, or if I spoke to Paul, he might have some advice, I can have some peace. Well, by the way, just use Paul as an example. It's the name which came in my mind. Or anybody. I can get some advice and enjoy myself and go to work and only not enjoy myself and make a difference in this man. And when he goes home, he's happy. If he's married, change happens in the family. Children are happy. Everybody happy. Just because of one thing. Somebody went an extra mile to say, I'm going to take all this garbage. Let me make a difference in this person. So, you might be sitting in this room today and you say, oh, Florence, I've heard all you're saying, but you don't know what these people did to me. Hey, I don't know what they did to you, but these character issues, they're not the same, but it's the same format, you know. The format is the same, the root is the same, but you know, you get different seeds out of it. So what I'm saying, I don't know what your enemy did to you. I don't know what that person you call your enemy did to you, but this works no matter if it's your friend, if it's your enemies. Be gracious, go an extra mile, forgive them, and be the difference. Because when you're the difference in their life, you're not only making a difference in their life, but you're making a difference in their family, in their friends, in their girlfriends. Because when they see change, they're going to be happy. And when they go home, madam, they say, what happened to you? You seem to be different. You're a different man altogether. Simply because of myself or Florence going an extra mile. Thank you. Madam Toastmaster.
Will you please unmute to give Florence a round of applause? Thank you, Florence, for telling us a story about how going through a period of joyfulness made an enemy change his behavior. Thank you, Florence. So we're going to be going on to our final evaluation for the night. And it is Norma evaluating Florence, speech titled, Be Gracious to Your Enemy, with Your Enemy. Norma, can you please give Norma a round of applause?
Thank you, everyone. Be gracious with your enemies. Wow, what a title. I really enjoyed the title. The reason why I enjoyed the title is because I had a similar situation when I was working. So I was looking forward to getting some hints and tips. So how did Florence do? For me, it was marvelous. She started off by asking an opening question, which I love. I always love when a speech engages the audience. It kind of puts me on high alert. Oh, I've got to pay attention, even though I was anyway. I love Florence's speeches, and I saw her do one just a fortnight ago. I love the fact that she used a good quote at the beginning from Oscar Wilde, and she smiled. That was very engaging. I actually looked across the audience to see how engaged everybody was, and I must say she did captivate and grab our attention. Everyone was kind of visually looking at the screen, so presumably they're looking at Florence. At time, this is where I'm going to bring in one recommendation, which is that the moral of the story was how to get someone to like you, and I would have liked to have seen some more examples and vocal range around how that person made Florence feel on a day-to-day basis. She did give some examples, but I would have liked to have heard a bit more of a story around that, and then a pause, and then give an example of other people that famous people that have had that similar situation whereby they've had a poor relationship and then muted that into a positive relationship. She did do that with Barack Obama, but that came in towards the end, and then she reverted back to her story, and I didn't get any essence from her revisiting her story at that particular time. So that would have been my recommendation. The flow was good. I like the hand gestures that Florence does. One other recommendation for me is that I find Florence a competent speaker and I enjoy it very, very much. But what I do wish for is some pauses, because I think that could add some more drama to the speeches. So maybe as she's making her transitions, for a bit more pause and then carry on with the speech. And I think that's about it. No, yeah, I like her smiles. She's engaged with the audience, and I like the drama in her voice. So with that said, I'm going to hand it back to Aminat.
Thank you, Norma. Can we please have a round of applause for Norma? So